Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Saturday Sparks Live. So I am I'm really thankful that everyone was able to make it last week. The purpose of these calls or these live broadcasts is to provide value, absolute value, to those that are struggling with marketing, trying to figure out what to do next, and just have questions about it and want to know from a live person how they can best do and serve their customers and grow their business. Last week, we talked a little bit about the different aspects of like niche marketing or niche, depending on who you are, how to best present your brand and that kind of stuff. And so if you haven't watched last week, go ahead and take a look at it. We are publishing these replays on Facebook, on YouTube, on our podcast, and all that kind of stuff. So, and we're also breaking it up and sharing them out in shorts to just provide some great value for everyone in the community. So this week we've got 4 questions. I'm really pumped and excited about it. We are going to talk about business to business marketing or commercial marketing. We're going to talk about the ideal budget for marketing, and we're going to talk about different stages of business and what you should be doing in each stage when it comes to marketing. And finally, we'll talk about tracking and understanding what measures and what metrics you should track to make sure that you are the most successful in the marketing that you are doing. So the replay will be available after this on Facebook Live. We'll put it out on YouTube. We'll create a podcast audio version of it as well. And so if you can't make it live here, no problem. Today I am experimenting with some new technology. So I installed OBS Studio for those of you who are familiar with it. And I have some fancy things like our logo here up in the top here. And if there's any comments, you'll see them on my left-hand side here of the screen live. So really excited to try that out. I ask for your patience if something does go wrong. This is live, and yeah. So a little bit about me. My name is Adam Bauer. I'm the CEO of the Marketing Clerics, and I've been offering web design, web development, SEO, general marketing support for the past 12 years, and doing that on the side for most of that time. Launched into the Marketing Clerics about 2 years ago. And we serve a wide variety of clients right now. We are focusing down our marketing efforts on the electrical contractor niche, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means in the first question. But I've got many years of experience in many different types of marketing, and I'm here to help answer questions that you might have. And this week we've got some questions from our viewers. So thank you for joining. And if you missed the live event, no worries. So let's get started. The first question that we have for this week is from Harley from River Valley Low Voltage. Shout out to Harley. Thanks for sending in your question. The question that he is bringing is, how should I market to business as a low voltage professional? So it's a great question, because business to business is not going to be as SEO focused as it is going to be on building your brand authority, your brand trust. And so really the intent of business to business marketing is developing that targeted trust. And so first, you want to start out with clarifying your ideal buyer. Are you going to focus on general contractors, property managers, IT directors, maybe managed service providers? But what size of company are you looking at targeting? What's their typical budget? What problems do they face most often? And how do your solutions meet those problems and exceed those problems? And it's kind of, so we defined this a little bit last week. So it's like your target avatar, your target persona. And so gathering as much demographics, psychographics, and knowledge of their current pain, their current problems, and how your services solve those is important for your messaging. And when it comes to your messaging, you want to position yourself like you are the pro. You're a professional in that space. So a lot of that comes down to building authority content. So dedicating a landing page to business showcases past commercial work, It demonstrates the timeliness, the code compliance, and all of that kind of stuff that you understand is needed for that commercial work. And so oftentimes I see websites, they've got like service pages around commercial work. They have this is what we do, and this is just some pictures of some past work. Really, what this persona is looking for is that you know exactly what you're doing and what you're talking about. And so when you're putting together the website content, the social media posts, and that kind of stuff, you want to keep in mind that need. So how does the project that you completed for maybe I think, Harley, you did a project for like a school system, if I remember correctly. And so it was a large project. So demonstrating and writing out like, okay, this is what the ask was. This is what they needed. I consulted with them and provided them with the right technology that they needed, the budget that they had, and I was able to complete the work within time, within budget, and this is the result that they received from that. And so having that out there is great. And then the other thing, when you're positioning yourself specifically on your website, is you want to showcase any of the company logos that you work with. So like if you have like putting out the ISD logo out there, putting out any other large commercial work that you've done in the past. And that way, if someone lands on your page, they got referred to you or whatnot, they can go to your page and they can see all of the different businesses that you've worked with or organizations that you've worked with. And they can possibly even engage those and say, hey, I know someone who works at the ISD there. I'm gonna just ask him, how did Harley do? How was his project? And that kind of stuff. And so having that on your website and clear and present is important. So once you've gotten yourself positioned like a pro with the content and that kind of stuff, you want to go where they are. And so wherever your audience is, you want to show up there. And so typically your commercial audiences are going to be more on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn targeted outreach. So if you don't have Sales Navigator, I would recommend getting Sales Navigator. And what you can do with that tool is you can search for specific personas in companies, in regions, in job titles, in revenue targets, averages, that kind of stuff. You can look for leads that are specific to what you are targeting in that first kind of ideal buyer scenario. And then you can reach out. But I forgot, before you reach out, you want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized and really showcases the trust, built position like a pro. So think of it like a landing page or a second website. So having the past work in your portfolio, having your job history clearly laid out and very, very compelling and powerful to what you're trying to offer, having the services that you offer listed out in LinkedIn and that kind of stuff. Making sure your profile picture is professional headshot, add a cover photo that speaks exactly to your offer and what you're providing. And then you can start doing your reach outs. Once you get to that point, then the second idea around going where they are is Google Ads, but using targeted keywords. And so what you want to do here is think back to the conversations that you've had with some of your commercial clients in the past. So what are the words that they use? What are they actually searching for? Because you'd be surprised. People aren't searching exactly low voltage contractor. I mean, there is search volume for that keyword, but most business owners, they don't know exactly what they're looking for. And so it might be like structured data cabling install or data cabling install or cable install, that kind of stuff. So identify those specific keywords. You can use those free keyword tools out there. So like Ubersuggest is one of them. You can even, if you have a Google Ads account, you can use that keyword planner tool just to search for different keywords in that area to find out exactly what people are searching for and the search volume and the average cost per click and all that kind of stuff. I will say with Google Ads, your cost per click for commercial are going to be on the higher side. And so when I did a little bit of research on these types of things, because we've got a client in them, is you're looking at $12 to $15 per click on those kind of keywords on average. Might not be an affordable option depending on what stage in business you are in. And then the last go where they are approach is local outreach. So being a part of your local chamber of commerce, being a part of local community groups and nonprofit boards and that kind of stuff, just being out there in the community goes a long ways when it comes to getting in front of the buyers that are needed in the kind of the commercial space, because most of that is all networking and referrals. So you're going to get more business as a business to business individual through in-person networking events, sponsorships of community events, just being present in the community and showing that you are there to support and be an encouragement to the community. Bonus option here is putting together a subcontractor pitch deck. So kind of making a really high quality booklet that features the services that you offer, the past experiences or past projects that you've completed, with full photos and details around that, any testimonials that you might have to share, that kind of stuff. And so that's going to be important for that. So thanks to those who are recently joining here. We are talking about how to B2B market and how to target those other businesses as a business with your marketing content. This is specifically for low voltage installation. So security cameras, Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff. And then the next thing you want to make sure you cover is proving that you are built for commercial work. And so not all individuals are really prepared for the commercial space. And that's a big hesitancy when it comes to some of those types of buyers. They're looking for someone who's got experience in the field. They know exactly how to make sure everything is compliant with code. They've built out timelines and they're reliable with those timelines. They've got insurance, they're licensed, and they basically can take the project ask and just run with it. And speaking from personal experience on this, I used to work for an MSP, and we had a low voltage professional that worked with us. And one of the biggest benefits that they provided for us was that we kind of gave them the end result of what we needed. And they took it, built out project, coordinated the whole project, got the resources needed for the project, all of the materials, all of the labor, and code compliance and timeline and all that kind of stuff. And they just ran with it and did it, got us to the finish line. And there wasn't a whole lot of hand-holding involved. There wasn't a whole lot of needing to meet with them on a real regular basis, because we just trusted that they got what we need and when we need it by. When you are putting together that positioning on your website, on your social, and all that kind of stuff, you want to talk specifically about how you've helped coordinate different projects, how you are working with resources that are able to have everything done in a timely manner within budget. You're able to make sure everything is up to code, and you are able to do things at scale. And I think that's the last part of it. So sometimes commercial projects can get large, and so having the proof that you are able to handle larger projects is important. So that question, thank you, Harley from River Valley Low Voltage. Talked all about B2B marketing, centered around targeted trust. So clarifying that ideal buyer persona, understanding who you're targeting, positioning your messaging like you are a professional, with authority building copy, dedicating a landing page specific to business, showcasing your past commercial work with images, videos, content, demonstrating your your understanding of the commercial space. Going where they are, doing targeted outreach. So on LinkedIn, using Sales Navigator, using Google Ads with specific keywords that people are searching in that commercial space, and getting involved locally in your community and different events, sponsorships, and that kind of stuff. And then just making sure that you are able to speak that language and demonstrate that you are ready for all of that commercial work, and you are reliable, and you're able to do that on a timely basis, on a professional basis. So that is that question from Harley. Thank you. So if you have any other questions as the week goes on, we are collecting these midweek as well as during the live broadcast, because as you can see, we've got one viewer. And so as this starts to build momentum, I'd like to be able to get the questions midweek so that we can get these answered and get them out there for the replay, because the replay is exactly what people are looking for, and it provides just as much value here as live. So if you aren't able to make it live, that's not a problem. Let's get your questions to us ahead of time, and then we'll get them answered live, and you can watch them at the replay. But if you are able to join us live, I really encourage you to do that, because it's a great experience. It's a great ability to see the value and partake in this experience with us. So the next question we have is from Robert at Go Electric. So I had an opportunity to meet with Robert this week, and he's doing phenomenal work out there. So I'm really grateful for his questions that he has brought to the table. And so we've got a few from him, and we're going to go through those one by one. So the first question that he brought is, what is the right marketing strategy for the right stage in business? And for this question, to answer it, I want to call out Dave Ramsey's book, Build a Business You Love. If you haven't heard of it, I would highly encourage you to go out and find it, read it, because it really helps define, it helps you plan out where you are at in the business and where you can go to. Dave uses his 30 plus years of experience in the trenches, so you can learn from his mistakes and grow without having a lot of pain. And so that's his goal with this new book. So his stages of business, and I'll go over them here, is the first stage is treadmill operator. And so as a treadmill operator, you are in the weeds, you're in the thick of everything. If you stop working, the business stops making money. And so that's what a treadmill operator is. The second stage in business is Pathfinder. And in this stage, you've started to hire some team members to offload and delegate some of the work that you've been doing in the field, but you're still kind of stuck being involved in the process and the work, because you don't have standard processes, you don't have standard procedures to hand off to those individuals. So you're in that Pathfinder stage. The third stage is Trailblazer, and this is probably my favorite stage, because you're at the point where you've got team members, you've got standards in place, and you're starting to really define the full process of the business. So you're standing more at the leader role of the business. You've got 80% of the work is being done by your team. And you are able to focus on building those standard processes and planning your marketing strategy and all that kind of stuff. The fourth stage is peak performer. And so when you're in this stage, what you have is you've got yourself as the leader, CEO, president, whatever, and you have leadership under you. And so you've got a C-suite that's leading different parts of the business, and you are overseeing those leaders, and those leaders are overseeing the managers and the team members under them. And so you are at the point where you are very profitable. You have standard processes in place. You are working less. You're able to focus more on other efforts, like being involved more in the community, being a good authority speaker, a thought leader in your space. This is a fun stage as well. And then the final stage that he's got laid out is the legacy builder stage. And this is where your business is on autopilot. Everything is run for you. You don't have any concerns around operations and getting that done. Your main concern here is, what do we do with the business, and how do we give back to the community, to our team members, through this legacy that we've built. And so that's the final stage of Dave Ramsey's 5 stages of business. So go out and find that book. It's called Build a Business You Love by Dave Ramsey. And so I'm going to talk about those stages and what marketing strategy is right in each of those stages. So the first stage, treadmill operator. What should you do? Well, as a treadmill operator, you're spending 100% of your time in the field doing work and that kind of stuff. So you have very minimal time to spend on marketing. You also have minimal budget to spend on marketing. And so your focus really should be around getting your Google business profile optimized, getting good reviews on every service call that you've done, getting kind of a landing page or a DIY website up that has your phone number and your address and a form to contact you, and just some content about the business and what you do and where you offer it. Just keeping it basic. Don't complicate things. And really, the main focus of this stage in business from a marketing perspective is building relationships and winning trust quickly. And so making sure that every job that you do is the best job that you've ever done, that you treat your customer like they are going to be a long-term friend, and you're winning that trust quickly. And so doing that, getting your first 5 customers in the door, getting even more, building on that referral network, getting those referrals in that first stage of business is really important, because you're kind of at the point where you need to rely on your customer base to help build your business. The second stage, Pathfinder, your marketing focus starts to get into more strategy around using like Google pay-per-click, and you try to target those with like your top money-making jobs. So you're not looking for Google pay-per-click or LSA that is just going to target the demand jobs or the jobs that are just kind of break fix, low money, that kind of stuff. You want to target your ad strategy in this stage of business and make sure your money is spent wisely on the keywords that equal larger projects. So panel upgrades, generator installs, home rewiring, that kind of stuff. Those top money-making keywords. At this stage, you also want to have a more concrete website, and so having a website that has authority-building content, that has a really good and baked out service area, location pages, service pages for every service that you offer, has some video content on it, some high quality images from the field, and just showcasing your work. And then really, that's kind of when you get that big boy website, right? And then from a local SEO standpoint, this is when you kind of start working on getting that map pack, that Google Business Profile ranked in that top 3 map pack in your area. So focusing on putting out posts, putting out Q&As, making sure your review responses are mentioning cities and locations and services. And really what you're doing in this stage is you've shifted from taking service calls to actually capturing leads and bids and projects and tracking those. So instead of just break fix calls, you're looking to get those leads that you nurture them, you get them in there, and you start to convert on them. The third stage in business for marketing and that standpoint is focusing more on the SEO side. You want really content-rich SEO. So that's blog content, that's service and location pages, that is putting together like press releases that are distributed and that kind of stuff. You also want to focus on remarketing and email nurture. So what I mean by that is capturing those emails from your past customers and reaching out to them periodically with a monthly newsletter, something that has content that is valuable for them, and really remarketing on other ad platforms. So people land on your website, let's get that pixel captured, let's get that visit captured, and let's retarget them with an ad on Google Display, on YouTube, or on Meta, on Facebook, etc. And then you want to build out your lead pipeline or your sales pipeline in this stage. So what that means is when you get a new call in or a new form from your website in, you want to enter them into a pipeline that has different stages in it. And the stages can be built for your process, but your process should be to get them from estimate to close to complete a project, and then beyond that is getting that review, and possibly a video testimonial. And so building out that lead pipeline, so whenever you get someone to submit a form, it is captured in your system, in your CRM, and you're actually reaching out to them on a regular basis. We can do that with automation and that kind of stuff too, so it's not something that you got to hire someone to just do that all day. So that's the third stage in business. The fourth stage, when you're in that peak performer stage, you want to target and maybe shift towards higher margin verticals. So you want to look at those projects, those spaces that are giving you the best margin and is the work that you enjoy the most. And then in this stage, you're actually able to cut waste on your paid ads. And so you're able to reduce the ad budget on paid ads because you are able to, you've got the kind of the budget allowance to double down on organic and SEO content, building your brand authority and that kind of stuff. And so a lot of the things that peak performers are doing is thought leadership content. They're doing video content. They're capturing information or capturing their brand on YouTube, on Meta for shorts, on TikTok, that kind of stuff. And they're able to do that because they have the higher margin verticals. And those typically are ones that they're larger projects, but you don't need as much of them. And so when you're talking about paid ads and that kind of stuff, you're able to spend more for acquiring those leads, and not having to stay busy with kind of that demand work. And then the final stage with Legacy Builder really is marketing at this point is all around that thought leadership, community building, putting out content that builds your reputation for future generations, and understanding that the business is more than just you and more than just the brand. So you want to be more, possibly want to be more philanthropic, having more sponsorships or being mentors, opening up to being a mentor for some other young individual who is just starting out as an electrician. So it's just your opportunity in this stage to give back. You've got the time, your business runs itself, and now it's your time to help others through that and really get your business to the point where it's able to be passed on or sold and that kind of stuff. And so a healthy marketing strategy doesn't always look the same in every season. But in every stage of business, the goal is always the same. You want to build trust, you want to generate leads, and you want to steward the mission. So thank you for that question, Robert. As a recap, for those who are just joining, Robert asked what the right marketing strategy is for every stage in business. So I went through Dave Ramsey's 5 stages of business: treadmill operator, pathfinder, trailblazer, peak performer, and legacy builder. And so when you're in that treadmill operator, it's all about doing your best work, being involved, and building relationships, winning trust, doing some basic online presence with your Google profile and a website that you built yourself. Second stage is pathfinder, starting to look at Google pay-per-click, but only for top money-making jobs. Don't focus on demand gen calls, emergency calls, that kind of stuff. Build out your real website with trust and authority. Focus on local SEO, capturing, you're really geared on here is capturing leads and not emergency calls. Trailblazer, you are putting together content-rich SEO, looking at retargeting and remarketing, using an email newsletter to nurture your existing or past customers, and implementing that lead pipeline that is taking those leads in and nurturing them through the process to sell or to buy. The peak performer, you're able to kind of help your team hone in on higher margin verticals, cutting waste and paid ad spend, doubling down on your SEO and organic content, building the brand authority out on YouTube or TikTok with regular video content that demonstrates your authority in the space. And then finally, legacy builder, where you are focusing on thought leadership, community building, mentorship opportunities to build brand visibility and reputation for the next generation. So those are that's a good question, Robert. Thank you. So I'm gonna, for those of you who are here, I'm gonna publish a poll here because I want to know what stage of business you are in. So we're trying a new interactive approach here and seeing how that'll do on these live broadcasts. So answer if you're in treadmill operator, if you're in pathfinder, if you're in trailblazer, or if you're in that peak performer legacy builder stage. So love to hear from you on that. So you may be wondering why we are doing this, why I'm offering this weekly Saturday Sparks live broadcast. And really, it's I got the inspiration actually from Dave Ramsey, and he when he started his business, he started doing radio talk shows, and so he would be available on the radio on air for people to call in and ask questions about financial problems and getting financial advice. And so that's kind of the inspiration for Saturday Sparks, because I wanted to kind of be on the air and available for electricians, electrical contractors to answer any sort of marketing questions that they might have or marketing problems that they're facing, and provide that value to them because we're in the business of helping others grow, and that's the intent behind this. So for those of you who are able to join now, the next question that we have is another question from Robert at Go Electric. What percentage of revenue do you allocate to marketing? It's a good question. I actually asked this question to him when we had our call this week, and the short answer is about 7 to 10% of your top line revenue on average. But it really all depends on your goals, your margins that you have, and the growth stage that you're in business. Remember, when you're talking about marketing, it's not what you should spend, but it's what you can expect it to produce. Because at the end of the day, marketing is an investment in long-term growth. As kind of a baseline, there's 2 different stages or 2 different phases that you could be in. So if you're in the kind of just wanting to sustain the growth that you have, kind of get measurable growth, but not like super, super high growth. If you want to focus on being around 5 to 7% of your top line revenue. If you are looking to grow aggressively and scale, or if you're entering a new market, so like think of that peak performer, you're looking at new higher verticals, that kind of stuff. You want to dedicate 8 to 12% or more of your top line revenue in that marketing. So that is kind of a baseline overall. I wanted to also break it down by stage. So when you're in the growth stage, going back to our previous question, the 5 stages of business, the first stage being treadmill operator. Generally speaking, you are investing very minimally in like outsourced marketing or ads marketing. So really like less than $500 a month. Because your focus when you're in this stage is to do quality work and get those referrals. Starting out your basic online presence, getting your Google profile optimized, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of your main focus for treadmill operator. When you're in the Pathfinder stage, the second stage of business, that's when you start wanting to ramp up a little bit. So you want about 7 to 10% of your gross revenue, or your top line revenue. And when you're looking at where to invest that, it's going to be really paid search, local SEO, and website content. And so having a blend of those 3 things at least for online marketing, this budget also includes any sort of traditional marketing or sponsorship marketing and that kind of stuff. So think about your print flyers, your mailers, your signage that you put out at houses or homes that you do, that kind of stuff, or getting involved with chamber events, sponsoring events in their community and that kind of stuff. The paid search is going to be typically around $2,000 to $3,000 a month, depending on your area and your competition. And really, again, as a reminder, we are focusing more on the top money-making projects and keywords. So we don't want to do you don't want to do the emergency electrician or the demand jobs when you're doing that pay-per-click marketing, because you're just gonna get burnt out with that. And then when it comes to local SEO, that is regularly optimizing your Google profile and capturing reviews automatically, responding to them automatically, publishing regular posts, Q&As, that kind of stuff. You want to do all of that and more. And the trust building website, you want to do a lot of the content around the different services specifically that you offer in the specific areas or cities that you offer them in. And so in this stage, if you're making $500K a year in top line revenue, you should expect to invest about $3,000 to $4,000 a month in marketing. Bailey, thanks for the question. So how would you accurately measure to determine your ROI on marketing? We are going to answer that question here in the last question. So I'll get to that in a minute. So thanks for the question, Bailey. The third stage, so when you're in the trailblazer stage, this is where you are wanting to kind of tee up the point where you're building those processes and getting a leadership team in place and really defining the business as an entity. You're going to look at about 8 to 12% of your top line revenue in marketing budget. And so you want to plan a balance between pay-per-click ads as well as SEO and retention reactivation services. So doubling down on that website content with SEO, putting together more strategy around pay-per-click so you can get less leads but higher quality leads in the door through that service. And then from a retention reactivation, this is all about how to take the customers that you've serviced for years or just serviced, and how do you keep them calling you and engaging with your business. And so there's lots of ways you can do that, from a monthly newsletter to automated emails or texts that come through based on like service preventative maintenance and that kind of stuff. And your investment here is going to be content marketing. You want to make sure that you've got high quality video content. You've got a lot of text-based content as well. You're investing in tracking tools so you know exactly where your marketing dollars are going, and we'll talk about those tools in a minute. And you have a good quality client relationship management system, or a CRM system in place, so that when you are taking a look and planning your budget and your and your marketing, you know a lot of the metrics that you need to know, like how much does it cost to acquire a new customer? what's the lifetime value of a new customer and that kind of stuff. So that's the Trailblazer stage. The peak performer stage is when you can start reducing your marketing budget. So you can go around 6 to 8%. You want to highly optimize this budget around organic dominance, so SEO dominance, content dominance in the area. Focus more on branding and building that brand, and doing a lot of automation. So defining the process, the customer journey, and building automation around it so that it reduces some of that load and dependence on the team. And then ultimately in this stage, you are reducing your dependence on paid ads. And so you at this stage, you don't really need to buy any keywords from Google or any placements from Google or any other platform. You don't need to buy leads from lead gen sources, that kind of stuff, because you've got that brand authority built and trust with the community. And then the final stage, legacy builder. This one, 4 to 7%. But if you wanted to fuel community causes and thought leadership and kind of building your brand, looking at long form content, media visibility, you might want to do higher than that. So it just depends on what your goals are for that. If you are looking to exit the business and not pass it on to the next generation, then you're probably going to focus more on that long form content, that website, making sure that your organic focus is strong, that your organic leads are strong, because that's one of the things that buyers or investors are looking at when they're buying other companies, is that does this company have a strong online presence, or am I going to have to go and pay a bunch of Google ads to get a bunch of work in the door to make this thing profitable? So at the end of the day, you don't want to just ask how much you want to spend. You want to ask how fast you want to grow and what your average customer is worth. Because marketing is an investment. It's not a cost center. Hopefully that helps. With that question as a recap for those who are just joining, Robert asked, what percentage of your revenue should you allocate to marketing? And the short answer, 7 to 10%. But as you're going through the different stages in business, it changes. So if you're in that treadmill operator, it's less than $500. You're just focusing on delivering excellent results and getting those referrals. Second stage, you're looking at around 7 to 10% of your top line, focusing on paid ads, local SEO, building your website out. The third stage, Trailblazer, 8 to 12%, balancing that pay-per-click with SEO, starting to do more customer reactivation and retention, investing in that content marketing, tracking tools, and a CRM. The peak performer stage, you can reduce it around 6 to 8%. Looking at highly optimized spend here, you're looking more at getting out organic dominance in your area, expanding your reach, refining your automation around lead nurturing and getting work done, reducing your dependence on paid ads. And then finally, the legacy builder stage, you're around 4 to 7%, if anything, depending on what you want to do with the business after you're done. So thanks for sending that one in, Robert. And Bailey, we are just about to answer your question here. Thank you those who are able to attend live. If you are not, I am okay with that as well, because the replay is out there. We'll be putting the replay out on Facebook naturally, and it will also be put out on YouTube. We're launching the audio on our podcast as well. And so if you, however you want to digest it, feel free to do that. And if you see this and you have a question of your own, feel free to comment on that replay, and we'll get that answered in a future episode. Thank you all for showing up. The next question, or last question that we have, is how do I track my marketing and what metrics matter to know if it's working or not? And to tie along with that, Bailey's question of how do you accurately measure to determine your ROI? You're in that treadmill pathfinder stage, and it just feels daunting to add more metrics to track. And so I'm happy to help you with that. And so let's jump in. So when you are looking at metrics and if marketing is working or not, the short answer is you want to track leads, not likes. So if a channel that you're using isn't producing real conversations or customers, that's not working. Really, that's the bottom line. And so if you want to keep it simple, track how many calls you're getting and what channel they're coming in from. You can do that very simply on one of your forms. You can do a drop down of how did you hear from us. If you are taking a phone call, you can organically ask like, hey, where'd you get our number? And that kind of stuff. And that'll kind of help a little bit in that treadmill operator stage, especially. Because some of these tools are gonna add cost to it and to what you're doing. So when you're looking at that treadmill operator and that Pathfinder stage, really it's about naturally asking your customers how they found you instead of relying and kind of building out the tracking mechanisms to it. But we'll talk a little bit about those tracking mechanisms as well. So when you're talking about leads and people that are calling you, what you want to answer the question about what counts as a lead. So is this going to be a phone call? Is it going to be a form on your website? Is it going to be a referral from someone? Is it an email that someone sends you? Or is it all the above? Is it so then when you have that defined, then you have kind of I call them the 5 must-track metrics when it comes to any stage in business. So you want to track your leads per month. So how many calls you got in per month, how many forms, that kind of stuff. You want to track the cost per lead or the customer acquisition cost, the CAC cost. So this can be like how much did you spend on ads to get that one lead, or how much time did you spend to do reach outs and that kind of stuff, and what your time is worth. And defining that. It's a little easier to do that when you're in the kind of the Trailblazer Pathfinder or Trailblazer Peak Performer stage. But you can kind of get a rough estimate when you're in that treadmill and Pathfinder stage. You want to track the close rate, how many leads that you get convert into customers and projects. You want to track your lead sources. So where are they finding you and that kind of stuff, making sure that you have a breakdown of that for every month as you're reviewing. And then finally, you want to track the lifetime value of that customer, of that lead. And you can do this through the systems that you have. If you're invoicing through like QuickBooks or Jobber, that kind of stuff, you can pull the customer record. You should be able to see exactly how much they've spent with you, how many jobs they've done with you, and you can see kind of on average as you're looking what the lifetime value is. And so this is really helpful because when you are doing marketing, your CAC or your cost per lead is really defined by the lifetime value. And so if your lifetime value of a customer, say you're doing B2B like Harley, you are probably going to pay more to acquire that lead because the lifetime value is higher. Same thing for us. So for example, the Marketing Clerics, our lifetime value on average is about $60,000. And that's because we charge them monthly. Our average client retention is around 3 to 4 years. And within that time frame, that's how much money we expect to make from that customer. And so when you're talking about a customer that's going to get you $60,000, we're not going to shy away from spending $1,000, $2,000 to acquire that customer. And so that can be a combination of ads, man hours to put together campaigns, and reach outs and sales conversations and all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of how you calculate that lifetime value and what that means when it comes to your marketing budget. And so those are the must-track metrics. As a recap, those are leads per month, cost per lead, close rate, lead sources, and lifetime value of your customer. And so how you track those depends really on what you like in your stage in business. So if you're in the treadmill operator, that Pathfinder stage, you're going to track those probably manually. So you're going to have a spreadsheet out. You're going to have the calls that come in, the leads that come in. You're going to track which ones convert, where they came from, the close rate, like did they close or not, and lifetime value of that. That might be actually in your database, your CRM system. When you start getting into the Trailblazer stage, that's when you really want to understand exactly the metrics and where things have come from. And so, because you're spending like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month on marketing, and you want to know where that, like what the return is on that. So your ROI metric on that can be done through a number of tools. So we use a lot of, so we use What Converts, which is a tool that will track. You can set up tracking numbers, and you can set up forms that track from your website. And so you can know exactly when it comes in from a Google ad, you can know what keyword they're using that converted them and that kind of stuff. And you can see what channel they came from. Did they come from organic Facebook? Did you run a meta ad? Did they come through that? Did you run a Google ad? That kind of stuff. And so What Converts is a great tool that will allow you to set up tracking numbers for the campaigns that you're running or the things that you're running. So when we set up a client, we set up What Converts with the tracking numbers. We do a tracking number specifically for their organic Google profile, Google business profile. We set up one for their Google Ads extension. And we set up a pool for their website. And so what that does is every time someone lands on the site, they see a tracking number, they click on that to call. We know where that call came from. We even record the call, capture any insights from the call, and then we rate that lead. So is it quotable? What's the value of it? What was the sale value, and what was the actual close value? So that's like if it's an estimate bid, and what did they close at if they closed. And so that way each month we can look at, okay, you had 30 leads this month. These all, like 10 of them came from Google Ads, 5 came from Facebook, and the rest came from your website organically from Google search. And so we can actually see and demonstrate where those leads are coming from, and double down on the ones on the channels that are working, and kind of eliminate the ones that are not. So it's really helpful in determining your budget and where to allocate your marketing dollars. The other tool that you can use is you can actually just set up Google Analytics. You can set up the form conversion action. From there, it's not as reliable as What Converts, because What Converts is a direct connection to the website, but Google Analytics is free. And so I am kind of looking at creating some training content around creating a Google Analytics account, setting it up with conversions for your website and that kind of stuff, so that you can see from the baseline perspective on what people are, where they're landing on your website and what they're converting on, and that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. That is up and coming. So you've heard it live. I've committed to it. And then I would say the last metric in terms of like the method of capturing and understanding lead sources for print campaigns. So if you're doing a mailer or a flyer or any of that stuff, you've got a couple of things on there. So you've got maybe you have a phone number, should be a tracking number. So have a dedicated tracking number for every print campaign you do. So if you're doing a mailer to 20,000 homes, make sure you have a custom tracking number on that mailer so you can know, okay, I spent $5,000 on that mailing. I don't know if that's a good budget or not, but I spent $5,000 on this, and it got me 10 calls valuing a total of $50,000. So I got 10x my investment for that campaign. It's pretty high for a mailer, but you get the picture. And then the second thing you might have on a mailer is like a QR code to scan to schedule a proactive service, like a generator install or a whole home rewiring project or that kind of stuff. And so that QR code should be linked using what are called UTM tracking codes. And so every URL that you put out anywhere on the web or anywhere in print, you want to have these UTM codes on there, and it allows you to customize where they're going and what they're coming from. And so when you're doing like a mailer campaign, if you've got a QR code and you track the metric around promoting your generator install service. And so one of your UTM codes would be generators. The other one would be mailer. And so then when you're looking at your Google Analytics dashboard and you're seeing the landing pages and where people are landing, where they're coming from, the source and medium says mailer for generators. And so like, okay, that lead or that land came from that print campaign. And so that's one of the things, honestly, a lot of people miss. And it's hard because when you are doing those types of things and investing in those kinds of marketing, you don't know if it's working unless you have that tracking mechanism in place. So thanks for everyone who are joining just now, going through how to track different metrics and what metrics to track. So we track leads. We don't care about likes or follows or that kind of stuff. If a channel or a service or campaign isn't generating real conversations or customers, it's not working and we drop it. We defined a lead, and we're defining 5 must-track metrics. 1 is leads per month. 2 is cost per lead or customer acquisition cost. 3 is close rate. 4 is lead sources. And 5 is lifetime value. And so let's talk specifically different channels. So when you're talking about Google Ads, the metrics that are good to have, so you want to have a greater than 5% click-through rate. And so what that means is they've seen your ad, they've clicked on it, and it's 5% of the people that have seen it have clicked on it. And so if your ad was seen 100 times, 5 people clicked on it. That's what a 5% click-through rate means, and you want to have a little bit greater than that. The second metric for Google Ads is conversion rate, and so you want to have greater than 15% on average conversion rate, and this is conversion to lead, not conversion to sale. And so what this means is they saw your ad, they clicked on it, they submitted a form. That's a conversion. That counts as a conversion. And so if 100 people clicked on your ad, 15 people filled out the form and converted. And so when you're talking about budget, this is where it's easy to plan. And so if you work backwards, so if your goal is to have 30 leads come in per month, then you want to have, and your 5% click-through rate, well, let's do easier math, I think. Let's do 100 leads per month, 5% click-through rate. So you need 500 views of the ads to get 100 leads, and then or 100 clicks, and then your 15% conversion rate is you need to have 15 of those 100 clicks convert. And so that's if you want to get 15 leads per month. And so that's how you kind of work backwards from that. So then from a budget standpoint, if you have 300 clicks, then you look at the average cost per click. And so if the average cost per click around your keywords is $10 a click and you need 300 clicks a month, that means you need to spend $3,000 a month to get 15 leads. Does that make sense? I think that math does good. I'm not good at ad hoc math, but you get the picture. So that's how you work backwards and plan your budget when it comes to Google Ads. The second measure is search engine optimization. And so there's 2 phases to this. There's local SEO, which is your Google profile on map. And then there's organic SEO, which is your website. And for both of these, you want to track the keywords that you are going to convert into paying customers. And you want to understand where your Google profile ranks. Is it top 3? Is it first page? That kind of stuff, the top 10. And then also you want to track organic keywords. So things, where are you at from a ranking standpoint, visibility standpoint from there. And a lot of that is also traffic. And so if you are ranked higher, but you don't have a ton of traffic, it doesn't help. And so a lot of agencies out there, unfortunately, will pick a very obscure keyword that has very little or zero search volume. and they'll say, oh, you're ranked number 1 for this keyword. Yeah, that's great. I can confirm I am ranked number 1 for that keyword, but it's not getting you any traffic on your website, and it's not going to get you any actual people filling out a form and calling you. And so it is a meaningless metric. It's like a like or a follow on social media. So you want to focus more on the keywords that people are searching for and getting ranked for those. And it's actually kind of interesting because even if so like local SEO, what we do is we focus on an area around your headquarters. And so if you are serving a 30-mile radius of a town, and let's say, and we put pins every mile or every 3 miles or whatever along the way in that radius. If you're ranked in the top 3 in half of that area, that 30-mile radius, it will get you more traffic and more conversions than a keyword that you might be ranked number 1 across the entire 30-mile radius that's not searched. And so when we put together they're called heat maps, we put together those ranking heat maps. They're good to track for progress or decline, but don't get discouraged when you see more red than green, when you're more in the top 10 or even beyond the top 10 than you are in the top 3. Because the areas that you're in the top 3 might generate enough business, it doesn't really matter. And so that's why we track leads, not vanity metrics, like that kind of stuff. And so for SEO, we want to focus more on how many people are calling us through organic search than where we are ranking. The last one is email. So if you're doing an email campaign or email newsletter, or maybe a reactivation email or like a maintenance notification, like, hey, come get you had your generator installed last year, you want us to come out and do annual maintenance on it, that kind of stuff. You want to look for a greater than 35% open rate and a greater than 5% click rate. This is just average across everything. And so it might be dependent on your industry. And so when we're looking at different industries, you want to look at that specific open rate. And one of the ways you can do that is using a tool called Klaviyo. And so Klaviyo is a tool that will track the open rate, it will track the click rate, and beyond that, it will build you a custom list of your email, like a sub list of your most engaged users. So people who have opened every email in the past 3 months, people who have clicked emails in the last 3 months. And so it's a more targeted approach. And we're actually using this on one of our clients where they're seeing a 79% open rate and a 10% click rate. And so they're just knocking it out of the park because this tool has allowed us to take it and send it to very targeted audiences and that kind of stuff. The other thing you want to pay attention when it comes to email is the spam rate or the unsubscribe rate. And you want to keep those lower than 1% each every time you send out an email. So those are some of the metrics that matter when you're tracking those campaigns and those marketing campaigns to understand if it's working or not. So if you are currently working with a marketing company that doesn't have any of these metrics in place, that are not showing you how many leads you're getting and where they're coming from and that kind of stuff, then I encourage you to ask them that question because you are building and investing in an asset that is going to grow with you, and you can't do that unless you know where to direct the ad budget or the marketing budget. Those are the 4 questions that we had. I'm just so thankful to be able to run this with you guys. I know I ran over time here, but I like to talk, and I've got questions to answer. So if you have any questions midweek, feel free to make a comment on this video or in our Facebook group. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, I encourage you to join. It's Purposeful Marketing for Electrical Contractors and Low Voltage Pros. It's a community where we're trying to share value and trying to help each other grow. And then finally, I want to show a link to possibly, if you want to have a chat further one-on-one with me, to understand more about your business and what you can do, how you can grow and that kind of stuff, I encourage you to click that link, schedule a call with me, and I'd be happy to chat with you. Otherwise, that is the May 17th edition of Saturday Sparks Live. We are glad to be your marketing conduit for growth-minded individuals.